Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope you're all having a nice Sunday. We will wait a few minutes just to let some other people join. And while we're waiting, if you think you know anyone who might find this live lesson useful today, then you can go ahead and share this video with any of your friends or any other English learners that you think might enjoy this live lesson. My name is Lizzie and I am a tutor on Cambly, and I'm going to be teaching this lesson today. As you can see, the topic is essential idioms for business. But just now, while we're waiting, maybe some of you are already doing it, but maybe you can tell me where you are from or where you are right now. So I've got hello from Brazil, Japan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, so many places. I am in London, in England right now, and it's quite nice weather today. It's okay. It's getting warmer. It's more like spring now. It was really horrible last week. It was snowing, which was crazy for March. What's the weather like where you all are? Okay, we've got people from South Africa, people from Czech Republic, so many different places today. So we're going to get started. So again, for those of you who missed, my name is Lizzie, and today we are going to talk about essential idioms for business. So I'm going to talk about some useful expressions and idioms that you might want to use in the workplace or in the office. So, before we get into the idioms, firstly, I just want to make sure that everyone understands what an idiom is. So, maybe you could write in the chat, you can let me know what an idiom is, or you could even give me an example of an idiom. And I'll have a look. So even if you can think of an example of an idiom, here we go, we've got one. Thank you, Diego. Piece of cake, exactly. Someone else, elephant in the room. Perfect. Thank you, Manor. That's so kind of you. And Luan, thank you so much for your explanation. It's like a different way of saying something. Yes. What else have we got? What's that one? Idiom is a short trick to say something just like a piece of cake. Okay. Yeah, kind of. An idiom is something, it's a phrase or an expression that has a different meaning from the literal meaning. We have them in all languages, and sometimes they can be quite difficult to learn when you're learning a language because the meaning is not as it's written. It has a different meaning from the literal meaning. So it can be a bit confusing for language learners. But idioms can also be a very fun thing to learn. And also, often in different languages, we have the same idioms or very similar idioms. So sometimes it can be quite fun to find out how the idioms are quite similar in your language. So you might find that today with some of these idioms for business, that you might have a very similar idiom when you translate it into your own language. And if that is the case, then please let us know in the comments, because that's always quite interesting. I know, for example, I'm trying to think of an example. I was going to say to touch wood, but that's more of a superstition. But I know that we have that in different languages. It's more of a superstition than an idiom, actually. Sorry. If anyone can think of any idioms that we have in different languages, let me know. But also, any today that we come across, if you have a similar one in your language when you translate it, then yeah, let us know. So, why idioms for business? I know that a lot of English learners, the reason they are learning English, the reason why a lot of students I have taught on Cambly are learning English is for work or for business. So maybe they've got a job at an English company, or maybe they have colleagues who speak English. Maybe they have to speak English when they're on Zoom calls or in meetings with different clients. And it can be really, really, really hard, especially if you find that English people are using these idioms and you could be really, really confused. So I'm hoping if you are learning English for business, for work, these will be useful for you. If you're not, I still think some of these will be useful because you will come across these in articles or maybe when you're watching TV series or in other situations. Some of these idioms are not only used in business, in the workplace, they can also be used in other situations. Okay, you're all giving me so many idioms. Thank you. Sorry, I've missed loads of them, but they're all great. So we're going to get started. I'm going to go over all of the idioms, and then afterwards we're going to have a short quiz, and I will give you a chance to ask questions at the end. So if I don't see your questions during, don't worry, I'll give you a chance to ask them again at the end. And remember, as always, this live video, this live lesson will be on the YouTube channel afterwards, so you can watch it back, you can watch it again. So don't worry if you miss anything, or maybe you need to hear something again because it might have been a bit confusing. You'll be able to watch this back as many times as you like. Okay, we're gonna go with the first idiom, and I'm gonna show you it and then see if any of you know what it means, or see if you can guess what it means. Maybe I'll give you an example sentence to help if I need to. Okay, the first one is to make a killing. What do you think it means to make a killing? Or does anyone know what this means? You can write it in the comments if you know, or you can make a guess. Any ideas? I'll have a look and see what my example sentence is. That might help you. When they sold their house, they made a killing. So in this example, we're not using it to talk about business, but if we want to use it to talk about business, it could be, or if we want to use it in the workplace, we could say the company made a killing, or the business made a killing. Okay, a lot of you are saying to hurt someone or to harm someone, and I can totally understand why you think that because we've got the word killing. But actually, this is a positive thing. This is not negative. And this is why idioms can be difficult because it sounds like it would be something negative, but actually, it's not. It's something good. I don't know if anyone's got it. The company made a killing. What do you think? Make a good decision? Not quite. Okay, I'm going to tell you. It means to make a lot of money. To make a lot of money. Someone says, is it like a good deal? Yeah, I guess kind of. That's a bit closer. To make a lot of money. To make a killing. To make a lot of money or profit. Mina, well done. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. The next one is to call the shots. For example, my manager always calls the shots. What could it mean? Anyone got any ideas? Or maybe if we want to have this project or proposal approved, we need to ask the manager first because they call the shots. Some of these are quite difficult, I know. Maybe a lot of these are new for you guys. No idea. Okay, to call the shots is to make all of the important decisions that influence a situation. So if someone calls the shots, they are the person that can make all of the important decisions and usually the decisions that will influence a situation or influence something. Studying English with Meng Hong. Take the initiative in deciding how something should be done. Yeah, yeah, that definition also works. Thank you. So, for example, who calls the shots at your work? Is it your manager? Might not be your manager. Maybe it's someone else. Do you call the shots? Maybe you do. Okay. The next one is round the clock. Round the clock. This one might be a little bit easier. Maybe you can guess the meaning of this one. Round the clock. An example sentence could be, we were so tired because we were working round the clock to get the project finished or to get the presentation ready. BM, thank you. 24 hours? Yeah. Good. So 24 hours, exactly. So if you work round the clock, you're working 24 hours or all night even. Okay, all night. It could mean both. So either all night or 24 hours. A long time, okay? You're working a long time. Usually an unhealthy amount of time. So we were working round the clock to get the product ready for launch. Do you ever do this? Do you ever work round the clock at work? I hope you don't. Okay, are we ready for the next one? Let me know if I'm going too fast. But remember, you can watch this back afterwards. Okay. The next one is cut to the chase. I have quite a few idioms with the verb cut in it today, I realised. Maybe I should do them all together. I might. So cut to the chase. If you tell someone to cut to the chase, what are you asking them to do? For example, we don't have long left in the meeting, so please cut to the chase. Akshay, well done. Come to the point, yeah? Maybe more get to the point. Use the verb get here. Get to the point. And we've got an example sentence. Thank you. He cut to the chase because he didn't do good work. I guess it could kind of work. We'd maybe need more information to get to the most interesting part. Yeah, to get to the most interesting part or most important part. So, for example, say someone is rambling, which means they're talking a lot of nonsense, and they're not talking about the most important point or the main point. Maybe you're in a meeting and it's going on for ages and nobody's talking about the most important thing or the purpose of the meeting. And you might say, look, we don't have very long left, so please cut to the chase. Please get to the point. Beat around the bush. Good. You might say, don't beat around the bush. So to beat around the bush is kind of the opposite of this. You'd say, don't beat around the bush. Don't beat around the bush. Please cut to the chase. Yeah, thank you for that example. Okay, are we ready for the next one? I was going to do all of the cut ones next, but I'm going to do one more first, and then I'll go back to all the ones that have cut in them. So the next one is foot in the door. If you have your foot in the door, what could that mean? Think about it in a business setting or in the workplace or in the business world. To get your foot in the door or to have your foot in the door. I think usually we would use to get your foot in the door. To start doing something? Yes. Kind of, yes. To enter in something? Yes. Oh, someone else has also told us another idiom, to get down to business. Thank you. To begin the first step of doing something. Yeah, that's also a good explanation. So it's to start at a low level, but with a chance of being more successful in the future. So it's kind of like if you start something, maybe it's the first step, as you said. So maybe it's like a low level. So you might start working at a company, and maybe your role is quite low level. Maybe it's not one of the higher paid roles, but you're getting your foot in the door. You're starting something, and that will help you to progress and get to this more successful level or point, or maybe a higher role in the future. So yeah, it's to start doing something that will help you achieve more. It's the first step. Take step towards work. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like to start your career, I guess. So the example sentence I've got is sometimes making the right contacts can help you get your foot in the door. So maybe if you know the right people, you might be able to get your foot in the door because they might help you to take the first steps in that career you want. They might be able to give you a job at a company that you want to eventually be the manager of, for example. Okay. Any questions so far before I go on to the next ones? Anything not clear? How are we all doing? Okay, let's go on to the next one. So I said we had a few with the verb cut. I'm just trying to find where the other ones are. Yeah, I've got a couple more with the verb cut. So let's do these now. So the next one is cutthroat. So you might describe a person as being cutthroat, but you might also describe a situation as being cutthroat. You might maybe say that your manager is cutthroat, or maybe people who are quite successful might be in the position they are because they are cutthroat. And I guess it's kind of a negative thing. It kind of depends on how you see it, I guess, but I wouldn't say it's positive. But maybe in the business world, some people might need to be cutthroat to get to where they want to be. Competitive? Yeah, kind of competitive. Cutthroat. Throat, this is your throat. Cutthroat, but remember it's an idiom, so it's not the literal meaning, which would actually be quite scary. Cruel competition, yeah, this idea of being competitive and cruel, yeah, that's good. So I would say it is to be fierce in a competition, not caring about harming others to get what you want. So if you're cutthroat, you don't care if you might harm other people to become successful. You can just make those decisions, even if it might harm other people or it might upset other people. You don't care. Another way you could describe this, an adjective you might use is ruthless. What is my example? I think his success is partly due to how cutthroat he is. Do you think that people need to be cutthroat to be successful? Or do you think people can be successful without being cutthroat? Or maybe you know someone who's like this. Let me know. Tell me in the comments. Okay, let's go on to the next one with cut. So it is to have your work cut out, or to have your work cut out for you. We might hear this. Have your work cut out. So it's to do with work. What do you think it means if you have your work cut out? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Do you think it means you have more work, like a lot of work? Or do you think it means you don't have much work? And actually, this one's very confusing because I think if you were to read this and think of like with the literal meaning, you might actually think that it means you don't have a lot of work to do because you might cut out your work, but actually it's the opposite. It means you have something very difficult to do or you have a lot to do. I've got a really long example here. I hope you can see this. I can't see it, so I need to read it like this. Sorry. She is very behind on her work. She has her work cut out for her if she wants to complete it by the end of the week. Okay, so she's got a very difficult task or she's got a lot of work. Refer to something you're doing as difficult. Yeah, good. Have difficult work. Yeah, good. Well done. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. I'm going to test you on a couple of these soon. For anyone joining as well just now, just a reminder, if you've missed what we've covered so far, don't worry, you can watch it from the beginning. Once this live lesson is done, it will be on the Cambly YouTube channel. Okay, the next one is, what do you think? A positive thing or a negative thing if you are crushing it? Crushing it. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Maybe you guys are crushing idioms. You're crushing learning idioms. So you don't necessarily need it. Okay, you can then have a noun afterwards. But you might also hear someone say, you're crushing it. Like you are my crush. No, not really like that. Not like that. Not in the business setting or in the work setting. Might not be appropriate. What could it mean? A person performing the work well. Well done. Exactly. Okay, it's a positive thing. So if someone is crushing something, they are doing very well at something. So for example, you might say, she is crushing this presentation. Or if someone's doing a presentation, you might just say, she's crushing it. Okay, it's definitely a positive thing. Yeah, well done, guys. You'd think it would be negative because crushing, the verb to crush, means to like squash something or flatten something or destroy something. So you might think it's a negative thing, but actually it's positive. And you'll find that with a lot of these idioms actually today, in that their literal meaning, it sounds quite negative. We've got like make it killing, cutthroat, and then, yeah, crushing it. These all sound quite negative. I guess cutthroat is quite negative actually. But the other ones, make a killing and crushing it, these are positive things. So this is why idioms can be quite hard. But once you learn them and get used to using them, they become easier to remember. And I always recommend to my students not to learn too many. I know I'm giving you quite a lot today, but say even if you take away maybe 3 of these idioms today, only 3 that you think would be useful and relevant for you, then that's a good amount for you to learn. I'm not expecting you to go away and be able to use all of these straight away. If you can, that's amazing. But even if you can just learn a few a week, 3 idioms a week, or 3 to 5 idioms a week, you know yourself how much you can retain. But I think if you start to try and overload yourself, learning so much new vocabulary at once, you're actually less likely to take it in. So I always advise my students to be a bit selective when they're learning vocabulary, and especially something like idioms that can be quite confusing. And also, because it's not just one word, I find that if you try and learn too many, you might get them mixed up, or you might use the wrong preposition, or you might say something wrong in the idiom. You might use it incorrectly, or use it slightly incorrectly. The problem with that is it might have a completely different meaning, or it just might not make sense at all. So you're better to learn less, but learn them correctly and learn how to use them in the right context. And then once you learn those, then you can learn more and build up. Okay, how many do we have left? We have just 2 left. I think that was 10. I think that's 10 in total. Has anyone been counting? I'm pretty sure it's 10. Okay. The next one is, In the red and in the black. And I'm so sorry, this was red, but my printer just did not print it red. But I thought that would be nice if it was red, but now it's just this weird brown color. So, in the red and in the black. What could it mean? So these are two, I'm giving you two idioms in one this time, but because they're quite similar. We can also use this to talk about we don't have to use this to talk about business. We could just use this to talk about, I don't want to give it away. I'm going to give it away if I finish that sentence. Does anyone have any idea what this could mean? They mean different things, but they're kind of similar. They're like opposites of each other. To be in the red and to be in the black. What do you think? I'm going to give you a clue. It's related to money. You are angry. Yeah, you would think that. We often associate red with anger, but no, it's to do with money and they have opposite meanings. So, in the red means, wait, I feel like I'm going to get this wrong. Yeah, in the red means that you are in a poor financial situation. So maybe you are in debt or you're making a loss if you're a company. You are not in a good situation with your finances if you're in the red. This is a negative thing. But so if that is what in the red means, and I said they're opposites, what do you think in the black means? If in the red is negative, you're in debt, or you're not in a good financial situation, what could in the black mean? And it's weird because you would think it would maybe be in like the green, because we associate that maybe with like positive compared to red as negative, but it's not. Any ideas? Yeah, exactly, Mina. Thank you. So in the black means you are making profit, or you're at least in a good financial situation. You're no longer in debt. Okay. So we often use this when we talk about business. So red, the business is in debt. In the black, the business is making a profit. And my example sentence is, I'm glad we are no longer in the red. But you could use this is what I was going to say before, but I didn't want to give it away. You could use this also to talk about your personal finances. So maybe if you're in debt, you might say, I'm in the red. I personally wouldn't really say this, but you could say this. But it's definitely more common when you're talking about business and work or companies. Okay, the last one, and then I'm going to do a quick quiz and give you some time for questions. So the last one is in a nutshell. In a nutshell. I feel like this one's maybe one of the easier ones today. And we wouldn't just use this to talk about, we wouldn't just use this in a business setting. We could use this in other settings as well, but very commonly used in the workplace or in a business setting. Yes, Koos, well done. Summarize, to summarize, yep. In the short, yeah. Summary. Can anyone think of another way? In conclusion, kind of. Overall, yeah. So, in a nutshell, is to summarize briefly or to talk about the main points of something. So, for example, it's a long story, but in a nutshell, I've decided to resign. That's quite a dramatic example, but it works. In brief, yeah, good. Thank you for all your examples. Very good. Okay. How is everyone doing? I'm aware that I've just given you so many idioms, but please watch this back so you can get all of the idioms again, all the meanings. And I'm going to give you a chance to ask some questions soon. So if you can think of any questions you might have about business idioms or anything related to this topic, maybe some vocabulary you've come across that you want to know if you could use in the workplace, or maybe you're not sure how to say something or describe something in the workplace, I might be able to think of an idiom for you, maybe. But while I'm giving you a chance to think about if you have any questions, let's do a little quiz. So I've just got 3 questions, because remember I said to you, it's good to not overload. So maybe you might just take away these ones today, maybe, or maybe any others that were relevant to you. Okay, so I've got some multiple choice. I always vary. Sometimes I give you guys the multiple choice and sometimes I don't because you're always very good at it. So if this one's too easy, then for the next one I might hide multiple choice, although then you'll have to remember all of the idioms that we've done. We'll see. Okay, so the first one. Which one is the correct answer? So he invested a lot of money when he was younger and eventually what? Sorry, I missed out he. Eventually he called the shots, he made a killing, or he cut to the chase. Write your answers in the comments and I will check. Oh, you are all so fast today. Well done. Yeah, B. He made a killing. What does it mean to make a killing? Please remind me. What does it mean? He made a killing. What does make a killing mean? Remember, it's a positive thing, not a negative thing. To make a lot of money. Thank you, Marta. Perfect. So he invested a lot of money when he was younger and eventually he made a killing. He made a lot of money. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Maybe I should hide the examples, but I don't know if that's going to be too hard. But you were all so good at that, so I think I'm going to make it more difficult for you. I'm going to be mean. Okay. Sometimes people work for free or lower incomes if they want to what? Maybe it's quite hard actually because you're going to have to remember all of the ones I taught you. Anyone got any ideas? I'll be very impressed if you can get this. I might have to give you the examples, the options even. Sometimes people work for free or for lower incomes if they want to, well done, to get their foot in the door. To get their, remember we need to use get. So to get their foot in the door. To have their foot in the door, but usually to get their foot in the door. And then in this example, it would be get. Oh, sorry. Here we go. To get their foot in the door. So it's this one, C. Okay. To start out, to take the first step towards a career. Okay. And let's do one more question. I'm going to hide it from you again since you got that. Maybe I'll hide it first and then I'll show you. I'll do both. I'll be fair. Okay. We were working, I think this one's actually quite easy. You might not need the examples. We were working what to get this project finished on time? We were working something kind of negative. If you're working a lot, what are you doing? Maybe you're working overnight or you're working all day, you're working all night. Yes, very good, Kiss. Round the clock. We were working round the clock to get this project finished on time. Very good. Well done, everyone. Does anyone have any questions about any of these idioms? Anything they're not sure about? Or maybe some other idioms that they might have heard related to business or vocabulary related to the workplace? If you think of any questions that you have afterwards and you think, oh, I wish I asked that, then because this video will be posted, you can always comment on the video and ask. And if you didn't do it at the beginning, if you think this video would be useful for anyone else, you can share it with them after we post it as well. Maybe someone you know that started working for an English speaking company or for an English company, or maybe they started working with English speakers and they want to improve their business English vocabulary. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know. But also, I'm just going to talk to you very quickly about Cambly. So you all know what Cambly is because you're all here. And it's nice to see some familiar names. I was going to say faces, but I can't see you. So nice to see some familiar names. And if you're new to this, to these live videos today, then welcome. But Cambly is, we don't just have our YouTube channel, it is a language learning platform, or you can learn English only. Um, and although, actually, to be fair, some teachers do teach other languages, but the main language is English. And it's a great way to practice your English speaking skills. Doesn't matter if you're beginner or maybe you're advanced, there are teachers and tutors who can help you whatever level you are. Um, and you can do it from anywhere. So you can do it on your phone, or you can do it on your laptop. So from the comfort of your own home, you don't have to go to a class, you can just do it from home. So whether you want to maybe learn some more business phrases, or maybe you just want to practice having general conversation, maybe you just want to meet some English speakers and also improve your fluency or your pronunciation, you can do it all. So if you don't already use Cambly, I'm going to give you a code today that you can use to get up to 36% off a Cambly subscription. And the code is Go Live. We will also put this code in the description of the video, so don't worry about remembering it. But if you want, you can take note of it now. And if you want to schedule a lesson with me or with any other tutors, then you can do that. And maybe you could learn some more business vocabulary. Okay, I'm gonna just quickly check some questions. Can we use these during IELTS speaking test? I've had questions like this before about whether it's okay to use idioms in the IELTS test. For those of you who don't know, IELTS is an English language test that some companies ask you to have. If you want to work for a company in an English speaking country, they might say that you need to have an IELTS certificate or an IELTS score. They might tell you what score you need to get. Or maybe if you want to study at a university in an English speaking country, you might also need the IELTS. And sorry, to answer your question, can you use these during IELTS? It depends on whether they're relevant. What I would say is it can be really good to use idioms, especially say if you want to, it can be the difference between maybe getting a band 6 to a band 7. So that's the IELTS score, it's in bands. If you use things like idioms, then it can show that you really understand the language and you're using it in a more kind of natural way, because native speakers do use idioms. But I wouldn't say it's essential to use them. And what I would say is it's better to not use them than use them incorrectly. So I think it's totally fine to use them, but only if you're using them in the correct way. So I would just be careful if you're going to use idioms and make sure that you're really confident with how to use them and in the right context. I hope that helps. We do also, if you're more interested in the IELTS, we do have a few different live lessons about the IELTS. I'm trying to remember the name of the tutor, but I cannot remember which tutor it is. But we have, I think, quite a few different live lessons about the IELTS. So if you're more interested in that, they're all on the YouTube channel, so you can go and watch that as well. I would advise to do that. They're very useful. Another question. I'm not going to have time for all of them. I'm so sorry. Oh, thank you, Chitter Darrell. Yeah, you're right. Well done. You remembered better than me. That's the one who does the IELTS video. Yeah, someone's asked as well for the Cambridge exam. I would say the same thing for the Cambridge exam. So that's another language test. I would say the same as IELTS. Same advice. Any more questions? If we use Cambly, then within how many time we are able to speak English fluently? Honestly, the amount of people that ask me how long it will take them to become fluent in English, that is a very hard question to answer. It's dependent on so many things. It's dependent on your current level. It's dependent on how much you practice. It's dependent on how much you practice all skills. So are you doing reading, listening, writing, and what's the other one? Speaking. It really, really depends. It's hard to say, and also people measure fluency differently. So I can't really answer that question, but what I would say is if you use Cambly, it's a great way to become more fluent or more comfortable using the language. It will be mostly based on speaking, but you will also learn vocabulary. And maybe some tutors might give you some writing tasks to do, depends on the teacher. Um, but yeah, like it's a great way to improve your speaking skills. And if you want to be fluent in any language, you need to speak it. So Cambly is a great way to help you achieve fluency, but I cannot tell you how long it would take. Okay, thank you all so much. If you missed anything, remember you can watch this video, and we also have these live lessons. I think they're now on Saturdays, and then the following week they're on Sundays. So some weeks are on Saturdays, some weeks are on Sundays. So I think the next lesson will be next Saturday. So we'll have a different topic next week, a different tutor. So hopefully we'll see you then. And if you find this video useful, if you find this topic useful and you want to have more lessons about idioms, or maybe more lessons about business vocabulary, then please let us know. Please comment on the video, or please just like it, and then we'll know that this was something that you find really useful. Okay, thank you everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you for another live lesson really soon. Goodbye.